Yeah.
And so this chip, it's not just the chips like you've seen before, like those old commercials with Intel or something like that. These chips actually weigh 70 pounds. And so and they're going for $100,000 each.
Those are the numbers. I think what's more important than the numbers, though, is what's driving the market. I think that's why people tune in to listen to this. So let's start off with some of the things that are driving the market forward right now.
It still seems to be tech driven. That's why you see the biggest year-to-date numbers of the Nasdaq, which are tech-related numbers or tech-related names. And so what I've got here, a couple charts. I'm going to show the S&P 500, which is an index we're all familiar with. But I've got the S&P 500, and I've got it compared to the same index, but instead of it being weighted, the index. If you all don't know, the S&P 500 is weighted by size of the company. So Apple Computer and Microsoft have a much bigger share than Walgreens, or names like that. And that makes sense because of the way we use their products. And now the S&P 500, I want to say that the top 7 names represent a third of the index. Does that sound right?
It's probably close.
And so what we've seen here, and you can see the performance between the regular S&P 500 that we see on the news and the equal weighted S&P 500, where all 500 names have the exact same share of the index. Over a long period of time, these track very, very closely. But we did see a breakout towards the end of 2022, starting 2023, when one started to pull away. And it was those big names at the top of the index, the big tech names, started to pull away. And the coincidence around there, the driver that started that was all the AI conversation, the AI talk, ChatGPT, really started to drive the impact that what people believe their influence will be going forward. The names like Microsoft, the names like Google, Amazon, and then the biggest driver of them all, NVIDIA, which I'll show another chart on them in just a second. But what this one here too can also show what we've seen a massive change here just in the last 12 months. Historically, smaller companies and middle-sized companies have outperformed larger companies, and that's really just because they've got the ability to grow faster than bigger companies. Once you're already big, the law of large numbers can really kind of eat at them. When you're worth $500 billion, let's say, which some of the bigger companies have been, getting up to $1 trillion in market cap, that's a lot of work versus a company that's worth 50 billion getting up to 100 billion. And so it makes sense that the smaller companies and middle-sized companies and those indexes have outperformed, but you'll see just here in the last 12 months, it's the mega caps, the giant companies that really took off. And the big question is going to be whether or not that is sustainable, which we can get into a little bit. But the biggest driver of them all has been NVIDIA. And for those that aren't that familiar, NVIDIA is the microchip, the chip manufacturer that is supporting any companies that are really wanting to be on the front edge of AI. They're needing to buy these $100,000 chips and data servers and warehouses and really to kind of support this. And so the bearish folks are the people that are the naysayers are wondering if NVIDIA is going to be, Intel or the next Cisco Systems or something like that, where they had a big run, but then other companies nip at their heels. I remember hearing that there's a Jeff Bezos quote that says, your margin is my opportunity. Mm-hmm. And right now, NVIDIA has unbelievable margins because no one else is making a comparable product. But, they're not just making tires either. I mean, these chips are incredibly complicated. Their newest, what's the newest chip called? H100? I think it's...
You would know.
Yeah.
And so this chip, it's not just the chips like you've seen before, like those old commercials with Intel or something like that. These chips actually weigh 70 pounds. Mm-hmm. And so, and they're going for $100,000 each.
Well, remember when it really took off, it was because people were mining Bitcoin with these chipsets.
Yeah. And
that was the big gaming start.
Yeah, I was going to say, so NVIDIA's been around forever. NVIDIA it has been known for graphics cards for a really long time. And then obviously the rise of gaming. I mean, I don't know the numbers, but we all know how many kids play video games now versus, 20 years ago or 30 years ago. But they've been around for a really long time. But then all these factors, and like you said, the AI is really just taking them to a completely new level.
Well, and you'll see the level on this chart. So what this chart is, this is going back a few years, and this shows the size of the companies. The market cap is the term we use. So you can actually see how fast it has taken over other companies. And so other names you have in there is Meta or Facebook. You've got Google, you've got Apple, and you've got Microsoft. And just in the last 12 months, it's blown through 3 of them, and now it's just about ready to pass Apple to be the second largest company. And so the debate that we've got is kind of figuring out, okay, obviously this is pricing in a lot of expectation going forward because this company has gained $1 trillion in market cap over the last 30 days. Right? They're not selling any more. I mean, they're selling the same amount of chips that people expected them to. That hasn't changed. The expectation is what are they going to sell next year, the year after, et cetera. And then debates too on the other side is like, okay, once Microsoft and once Google and once Amazon buy all the chips that they need for the AI they want now, they're not going to have to keep replacing all of these chips every 6 months. And so is there going to be some saturation? Time will only tell.
Well, there's talk, too, about Amazon getting in the business there, too, trying to build their own AI chips, too. I mean, that's going to be down the road a little bit, but you said before, your margins are opportunity. So. Yeah.